Hello and welcome back to my channel, Stitches with Love. My name is Elizabeth, and this is my little corner of the world where I share all about my knitting adventures on and off the needles. And today we are on day 10 of Vlogmas 2025. So I am going to share with you a little bit of an update on my knitting, and I'm going to share with you another thrifted treasure that I found today. So if you're interested, grab a cup of something cozy or whatever you're working on for your knitting and come along with me. So the knitting first. The December sock of the month is working up really quite nicely. And I've made a little bit of progress. I am done with the gussets and now working on the foot. And I don't know that you're going to be able to see very well. I don't know how well it's going to show up in the video, but I have started doing just plain stockinette stitch. Let's see. Right here. Instead of the continuing of the vanilla bean pattern. And as I make more progress, I'll show you. But for a while, I wasn't really sure when I started whether I wanted to do this textured pattern or just a plain vanilla stockinette. But I decided to just press on and keep going with the pattern because I did kind of like the way it was working up. But then when I got down to the stockinette portion of the foot and the heel turn, I found I really liked the way it was working up there as well in just plain stockinette. And so I decided that I would continue to do the entire foot that way so that I could really showcase this yarn so you can see what it looks like striped and textured with that vanilla bean pattern and then plain stockinette. And I think you can see how that yarn works up with just those really minor changes, and I'm very pleased with it. So that was part of my reasoning for making that adjustment. And then the other thing was, because I wear my hand knit socks as regular socks with shoes and not just around the house like slippers, it occurred to me no one is going to look inside my shoes, so they're really not going to see the instep, which is that top part of your foot. They're not really going to see that pattern. So I left a long enough leg that I can show it off. And then I'm just going to do plain vanilla stockinette for the rest of the foot. And the other thing that has come up, so if you saw, I think it was maybe my previous video, or it might have been 2 videos ago, I don't remember. I was working on this sock and then I realized that I actually made a 32 stitch heel, which is what I would typically do for a 64 stitch sock. But this is a 72 stitch sock, so it should have had a 36 stitch heel. And that doesn't really sound like a big deal, and it's not really. It just means that my heel flap is a little bit more narrow, but it has affected my stitch count total just a little bit because, and I think this was purely my error. I don't know, maybe if I had done fewer decreases, it probably wouldn't have ended up this way, but I actually somehow decreased down to 60 stitches. And by the time I realized that, I decided that I didn't want to rip back all of that work just to add a few more stitches. So this sock is either going to fit me really well or it's going to be a little snug. And even if it's a little snug, I don't think that's going to be a major issue because socks do naturally stretch out as they are worn and washed and loved. So I think it's going to be just fine. And if they're really not, then I can always gift them to somebody else. That's Okay, so that's my sock project progress for the December sock of the month. Let's move on to the non-knitting stuff. I got my microphone. I hope that it's going to be helpful in being able to hear in these videos a little bit better. So we'll see. All right, so there's a little thrift store in town that's I think it's family run, but I might be mistaken on that. But it's a very small thrift store, and they have really neat things in there all the time. And I love to go in there every once in a while just to poke around and see what they've got. And so today I had a little bit of time after an appointment and before I had to go to work. So I went in and I poked around a little bit, and they had this really sweet little nativity set. They had this beautiful wooden tree, and I'm pretty sure it must have been handcrafted, but I don't know. There's nothing on the bottom as far as initials or a name or anything, but it looks like it must have been done by hand. I have no idea what kind of wood. So this was very clearly not a part of the set, I don't think. But they had it displayed with the nativity. So I picked it up because I really loved the way it looked in the backdrop of my little Holy Family. So this is the Mary and the Joseph. I'll hold them up a little closer so you can see them. And then, of course, the baby Jesus. And my little guy, Felix, he's 6, and he got really excited when he saw the baby Jesus. And so, for a while, I've been wanting a nativity set in this style where it's just Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus. I've always loved nativity sets. And these are actually from Chile, clearly handmade, hand painted. In fact, it has, I think this must be like the original, like price tag or something on the bottom. It has the language, and I think maybe that must be the price if you were purchasing it in the country of Chile. But they're beautiful and they're fairly sturdy, and I just fell in love with them. It was the first thing I saw when I walked in the door because they had it right there on the front counter. And I stopped and I admired, and I was thinking if I was going to buy it. So I did my round around the store, and then I decided I really want to buy that set. So I did. I'm so glad that I did. But what I wanted to say was in the grotto, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's a Catholic chapel, and they have this beautiful ground space that's devoted to um, Catholic culture. I don't know if that's an appropriate way to describe it, but every holiday season, they have what's called the Festival of Lights. And so it's all of these beautiful light displays, and there's live music in the chapel. There are carolers. Um, there's a gift shop, and in the gift shop, you have all of these beautiful nativity sets from all around the world. And that was always my favorite thing to go and see when we went to the grotto. We, meaning my husband and I, before we even got married. Um, that was, I think, our first sort of non-date date. But that's another story I'm not going to share today. But it's always been a special place for my husband and I. It's where we got engaged, and I've always really enjoyed looking at those beautiful nativity sets from all around the world. And you could buy them. They were for sale, and I always admired them, but they're very expensive. And so I never really looked at them for too long because I didn't figure I would ever own one. But when I saw this set, that's what it reminded me of. And I have no idea if this came from the grotto or if it came from somewhere else, but um, it just brought up some very happy memories for me. And so I brought it home and I have it now set up, and it's just bringing me all kinds of lovely Christmas happiness right now. I think that's all I really wanted to share. Have you ever been to the grotto? Do you have any special memories? If you have, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you know when I have new content posted. I do try to post every week at least one video. Right now I'm doing Vlogmas, and so I'm posting a little something every day. As always, happy knitting and many blessings. We'll see you tomorrow.